Chapter 91. 91, Lin Family's Ancestor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 91. Lin Family's Ancestor. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations, Ah. A scream of the square-faced man resounded in the air. This immediately made the expressions of Lin Wenyuan and the remaining Lin family elder change. 1 against 5, but 3 of the 5 were already killed by the other party. At the thought of this, Lin Wenyuan and the other Lin family elder could not help but feel a sense of fear. Especially Lin Wenyuan. He was the current head of the Lin immortal family, someone with fame and fortune. He was naturally unwilling to die just like that. At that moment, a look of reluctance flashed across his eyes. However, in the end, his expression turned ruthless and he resolutely took out a talisman that emitted a terrifying aura. It was a level 3 offensive talisman called the Azure Dragon Sword Talisman. It was also his greatest trump card as the head of the Lin immortal family. Kid, you should be honored to die under my level 3 Azure Dragon Sword Talisman. Lin Wenyuan did not hesitate at all. After saying that, he suddenly activated the Azure Dragon Sword Talisman in his hand. Buzz! In an instant, the Azure Dragon Sword Talisman turned into a green sword chi that soared into the sky. With a long roar that sounded like a dragon's roar, it slashed down towards Jiang Qingxian. Be careful. Not far away, Shen Ruyan immediately reminded. No matter what, the power of a level 3 talisman was not to be underestimated. Jiang Qingxian knew this very well. His eyes narrowed. In the next moment, the Void Dragon Sword also let out a long cry and turned into a bright sword light that shot into the sky. Rumble. It was also at this moment that large fiery meteors suddenly fell from the sky. They carried the power to destroy everything and collided fiercely with the Azure Dragon Sword Chi. Suddenly, a huge explosion erupted in the air. The first meteor was quickly destroyed by the Azure Dragon Sword Chi. However, immediately after, a second, a third, and even the 80th and 90th meteors fell. Moreover, the further it went, the stronger it became and the faster it was. In the end, the entire sky turned into a blazing sea of fire. The fierce red and dazzling azure colors intertwined. In the beginning, the Azure Sword Chi had the upper hand. However, as time passed, the light of the Azure Sword Chi gradually became weaker and weaker until it was completely reduced into nothingness by the last fiery meteor. It was also at this moment that Lin Wenyuan and the last Lin family elder were stunned. If not for the fact that they had seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe that the power of a level 3 talisman would be resolved by a Foundation establishment cultivator. That was simply impossible by any stretch of the imagination. Lin Wenyuan and the elder shook their heads crazily. They could not accept this outcome at all. However, whether they could accept this outcome or not, the reality was right in front of them. Jiang Qingxian would not show them any mercy. There was a clang. The Void Dragon Sword instantly transformed into a blazing sword light that slashed at Lin Wenyuan and the remaining Lin family elder. Lin Wenyuan and the remaining Lin family elder immediately took out their Dharma artifacts to block with a swish. The dazzling sword light immediately sent Lin Wenyuan and his mountain and river seal flying. Then, the Void Dragon Sword turned around in midair and cut the remaining Lin family elder's Dharma artifact into 2. The power of the sword light did not decrease. Under the terrified gaze of the Lin family elder, it split him into 2. Blood splattered in the sky. L.C. When Lin Wenyuan, who was sent flying in the distance, saw this scene, he immediately shouted in pain. At this moment, he really regretted it. If he had known that the other party was so powerful, he would not have fought him no matter what. It was too late now. Just as Jiang Qingxian's Void Dragon Sword was about to whoosh towards him, a cold snort suddenly sounded in the air. Immediately after, a huge hand formed by Dharma power collided with Jiang Qingxian's Void Dragon Sword. Boom! A terrifying shock wave spread out in all directions. The large hand formed by Dharma power instantly became faint. On the other hand, the void dragon sword that Jiang Qingxian slashed out let out a cry and flew back towards him. Seeing this, Jiang Qingxuan's expression changed slightly, and he looked ahead. At some point in time, a middle-aged man in a green robe had already appeared. This person stood in the air and was staring at Jiang Qingxian with cold eyes filled with killing intent. Violet Palace Realm Cultivator. Jiang Qingxian slowly said. At the same time, Lin Wenyuan, who was behind the middle-aged man, shouted in surprise. Ancestor. Lin Tianfan, who was also the Lin family's ancestor, nodded at Lin Wenyuan. Then, he turned to Jiang Qingxian and said coldly, I don't care who you are. I won't let you off today no matter what for killing the elders of the Lin family. Choose for yourself. Do you want to die in my hands or in your own hands? Hearing Lin Tianfan's words, Jiang Qingxuan's expression became extremely solemn. No matter what, the other party was a genuine Violet Palace realm cultivator even though he had just advanced to this realm. Jiang Qingxian did not think that he could easily offend a Violet Palace realm cultivator just because he had a trump card that could resist him. After all, who could guarantee that as a Violet Palace realm cultivator, Lin Tianfan did not have any trump cards? If he really had this thought, it could only mean that he had been blinded by his own strength. Even if he was lucky enough to not die today, he would definitely die in someone else's hand because of his arrogance. One had to know that on the path of cultivation, underestimating the enemy was the biggest mistake. Besides, Jiang Xihengxuan was not really qualified to underestimate anyone. It was precisely because Jiang Qingxian knew this that he chose to go all out and attack with all his might when facing the Lin family's ancestor, Lin Tianfan, who had suddenly appeared. In an instant, flame rings began to appear on his void dragon sword. The entire void dragon sword began to vibrate. Accompanying this was low cries of the sword and an abnormally terrifying aura that burst out. This made Lin Tianfan, who was originally looking at Jiang Qingxian calmly, immediately narrow his eyes. His heart was instantly in turmoil. This aura is. How is that possible? Chapter 92. 92, Killing a Violet Palace Realm Cultivator. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 92. Killing a Violet Palace Realm Cultivator. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, the void dragon sword in Jiang Qingxuan's hand suddenly turned into a red light that instantly shot towards Lin Tianfan. It was the 100th fire meteor that he had comprehended on his own. It was called Crimson Light. With this strike unleashed, everything within 100 miles turned red. Lin Tianfan immediately felt a great danger suddenly approaching, causing his face to turn pale. What exactly was going on? The other party was only at the Foundation Establishment realm. How could he unleash such a terrifying attack? He muttered something under his breath. In the next moment, a jade-white pagoda suddenly flew out from above his head and faced Jiang Qingxuan's crimson light. The pagoda instantly expanded to 1,000 feet in size. Ring-like white halos spread out, trying to extinguish Jiang Qingxuan's crimson light. However, how could this attack that almost exhausted Jiang Qingxuan's full strength be so easily blocked? In almost an instant, the halos around the jade-white pagoda that Lin Tianfan summoned dissipated. Immediately after, crimson light physically collided with the pagoda. There was a loud bang. Shockwaves that were like lasers shot out in all directions. One of the shockwaves swept past 1,000-meter tall mountain in the distance and cut it into half. Countless dust rose into the sky and dimmed half of the sky in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, Lin Tianfan spat out a mouthful of blood. His body, which was floating in the air, immediately trembled and he could not help but exclaim. My white jade exquisite pagoda. As soon as he finished speaking, the jade-white pagoda that was still 1,000 feet tall suddenly spun and flew back. Every time it flew for a distance, the pagoda would shrink in size. When it flew back to Lin Tianfan's hand, it had already returned to the size of a palm. However, the pagoda was dim and there were obvious cracks on its surface. It was obviously damaged. Damn it! What kind of monster was that guy? Lin Tianfan's eyes turned bloodshot. He knew that he had to go all out. Otherwise, facing Jiang Qingshuan's crimson light, he might really die. With that thought in mind, a large amount of blood-colored air suddenly rose from his body. This was a sign that he was burning his blood. With a clang, a silver-white spear suddenly flew out from the top of his head. With a might that could destroy everything, it faced Jiang Qingshuan's crimson light. Another terrifying bang erupted in the air. Because of the burning of his blood, the silver spear that Lin Tianfan took out slowly began to gain the upper hand in the collision with crimson light. Upon realizing this, the corners of Lin Tianfan's mouth curled up. "Kid, today, I'll let you know the gap between the Violet Palace realm and the Foundation Establishment realm." "Oh, really?" As soon as he finished speaking, a woman's indifferent voice suddenly sounded in his ear. This caused his expression to change. However, before he could react, a sword light that was even more terrifying than crimson light suddenly appeared in front of him. "It's level 3 Dharma treasure." Lin Tianfan immediately exclaimed. He would never have thought that after Jiang Qingxian, there was actually someone else who could erupt with the combat strength of the Violet Palace realm at the Foundation Establishment realm. Moreover, this time, it was even stronger than the power Jiang Qingxian had displayed just now. Caught off guard, he did not have time to react before he was cut into two by the sword light. Along with his soul, he was annihilated by the sword light. It was a pity that as a dignified Violet Palace realm cultivator, he died under the sneak attack of a Foundation Establishment cultivator. Yes. Shenruyan's attack just now could indeed be considered a sneak attack. Taking advantage of the fact that Lin Tianfan had placed all his attention on Jiang Qingxian, she took him by surprise and used her level 3 Dharma treasure, the Thunderbolt Lightning Fire Sword, to kill him in one go before he could react. Clang! At the same time, the silver spear, which had lost the support of its master's Dharma power, was immediately at a disadvantage in the confrontation with Jiang Qingshuan's crimson light. The entire spear was quickly sent flying. Shenruyan, who was in midair, caught it. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The silver spear that was caught by Shenruyan seemed to want to struggle. In the end, Shenruyan pinched it hard and the spear fell silent. From then on, all the Lin family elders present, including the Lin family's ancestor, had died except for Lin Wenyuan, the family head. Lin Wenyuan, who had witnessed all of this with his own eyes, shuddered non-stop. But without another word, he burned the blood in his body and began to flee crazily into the distance. He roared in his heart. Impossible, impossible. They are only at the Foundation Establishment realm. How could they kill Ancestor who is at the Violet Palace realm? This is not real. I must inform the Hong family about this. There are actually 2 freaks in the Shen family who can fight a Violet Palace realm cultivator. As long as I can pass this information to the Hong family, I believe that with the Hong family's usual style, they will definitely not tolerate the existence of these 2 freaks. Just you wait. This matter is not over. I will definitely make you and the entire Shen immortal family pay a painful price. As his mind raced, Lin Wenyuan had already flown hundreds of kilometers away. Just when he thought that he might have escaped from the demonic claws of those 2, a cold woman's voice suddenly sounded beside his ear. Lin family head, where are you going? Lin Wenyuan immediately turned his head stiffly and looked to his side. At some point, Shenruyan had already appeared beside him and was looking at him indifferently. Lin Wenyuan immediately revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. He said with some difficulty, what happened just now was actually a misunderstanding. To be honest, I have a secret about the Hong family that I want to share with you. Oh, really? Shenrian glanced at him indifferently and said coldly, I don't need it. I'm only here to send you to hell. As soon as she finished speaking, she raised her hand. With a buzz, a thunderous sword light with lightning and fire appeared in Lin Wenyuan's vision, scaring him so much that he immediately shouted. No, please. My Lin family has a lot of hidden treasures. I can tell you their location. Before Lin Wenyuan could finish speaking, Shenrian's thunderbolt lightning fire sword had already turned him into a bloody mist. Chapter 93 93, Extermination. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 93 Extermination. Translator Henyi Translations Editor Henyi Translations. Looking at the blood mist, Shenrian muttered, I will naturally take away all your Lin family's treasures when the time comes. With that, Shenrian turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly returned to Jiang Qingshuan's side. At this moment, Jiang Qingxian had already arrived at the array formation of the Crimson Gold Mine. He had just taken a true essence recovery pill when he saw Shenrian rushing back from afar. She leaned towards Jiang Qingxian and asked with concern, Husband, how are you? Are you all right? Jiang Qingxian smiled and nodded. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm just a little exhausted. That's good. Shenrian nodded. As she spoke, she seemed to realize something and couldn't help but say in surprise, Where's Elder Su? Why isn't he here? The moment she finished speaking, a streak of light suddenly flew over from not far away. It was Su Qianhe. It turned out that just now, he saw some Lin family disciples fleeing not far away, so he walked out of the array to chase after them. As a veteran Foundation Establishment realm cultivator of the Shen family, Su Qianhe knew very well how shocking what Jiang Qingxian and Shenrian had done today was. Fighting against a Violet Palace realm cultivator as a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator. In the past, Su Qianhe had never even heard of such a thing, let alone seen it. The difference between the Violet Palace realm and the Foundation Establishment realm was really too great. It was like the difference between a firefly and the bright moon. Therefore, his first thought was that he could not let the disciples of the Lin family spread this matter. His second thought was to eliminate them completely. Therefore, there was clearly still a trace of killing intent on Su Qianhe, who had just returned. Elder Su. Jiang Qingxian and Shenrian immediately greeted Su Qianhe. Su Qianhe also nodded at the two of them and sighed. I really didn't expect the strength of the two of you to have reached such a level. Don't worry, I've already wiped out all the Lin family disciples who escaped just now. No one else will know about what you did today. At this point, Su Qianhe seemed to have thought of something and said with a solemn expression, but then again, what do you think we should do next? Jiang Qingxian and Shenrian looked at each other. Jiang Qingxian said, Elder Su, we have already become mortal enemies with the Lin family. Since we're already mortal enemies, there's nothing to say. We can only exterminate them all. All right. Su Qianhe agreed with Jiang Qingxian. He thought for a moment and said to the two of them, next, regarding the extermination of the Lin family, I personally think that it's best if you two don't appear for the time being, lest someone notices your real strength. Fortunately, given the remaining strength of the Lin family, our Shen family is enough to deal with them. I will look for Brother Baifei and the others to discuss this matter later. We will strive to completely wipe out the Lin family in the shortest time possible. I wonder what you two think. It had to be said that Su Qianhe had shown thoughtfulness and wisdom befitting an experienced elder. During the Demon Beast riot that day, Shenrian had already attracted the attention of many people by killing the level 3 Demon Beast, the Stealthy Bat. Fortunately, they were able to explain it by saying that the Stealthy Bat was already seriously injured. In addition, what Shenrian killed back then was a great enemy of the human race. Even if some people had suspicions, they did not dare to raise them. Instead, they praised the Shen family for producing a peerless genius. However, that still put Shen Ruiyan under the limelight. Fortunately, the Shen family had Shen Mengxue, the first Violet Palace realm elder of the Ganyang sect, behind them. She took action and suppressed the spread of this news. However, the current situation was different. Apart from Shen Ruiyan, who could kill a level 3 demon beast, there was also Jiang Qingxian. Moreover, the one they killed was a Violet Palace realm cultivator who was in a good condition. As everyone knew, because humans mastered spells and had the support of various Dharma treasures and divine powers, their strength was often higher than demon beasts in the same realm. Even if the other party just advanced to the Violet Palace realm, it was definitely not someone that two Foundation establishment cultivators could easily challenge. It was obvious that once the news of Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan killing Lin Tianfan spread, it would definitely cause a sensation in the current cultivation world. Therefore, to be safe, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan had to keep a low profile. As for how the newly advanced Violet Palace realm cultivator of the Lin family died, they would naturally say that he died at the hands of their Shen family's ancestor. Did they really think that Shen Yuanlong could be challenged by any Tom, Dick, or Harry? At this moment, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan nodded at Su Qianhe, indicating that they agreed with his suggestion. Therefore, Su Qianhe did not hesitate anymore. After handing the upgraded level 3 array flag to the couple, he turned into a streak of light and flew towards the splendid Jade Mountain. After a while, Shen Baifei and the others, who were in the splendid Jade Mountain, quickly learned about the situation at the Crimson Gold Mine. While they were shocked, they were also pleasantly surprised. They really didn't expect Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan to become so strong after not seeing them for a few years. However, soon, they realized the seriousness of the problem. At that moment, the group of people did not hesitate. After a simple discussion with Su Qianhe, they made the decision to wipe out the Lin family. In no time, countless cultivators of the Shen family gathered. Shen Baifei even personally went to the ancestral hall to take the level 3 Dharma treasure, the Blue Sea Bell. Then, the group of people secretly rushed towards the Lin family's temporary base. They wanted to destroy the Lin family in the shortest time possible. While the Shen family gathered people and headed to the Lin family's temporary base, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan, who were in the Crimson Gold Mine, opened the storage bags that belonged to Lin Tianfan, Lin Wenyuan, and the others. Chapter 94 94, Huge Harvest, The Demise of the Lin Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 94 Huge Harvest, The Demise of the Lin Family. Translator Henyi Translations Editor Henyi Translations. It had to be said that Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan had gained a lot this time. Not to mention Lin Tianfan, the Violet Palace realm ancestor of the Lin family, and Lin Wenyuan, the head of the Lin family. Just the other 4 Foundation establishment realm elders of the Lin family had provided 8 to 9 level 2 Dharma artifacts, many pills, talismans, and precious materials to Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan. The total value was at least 30,000 spirit stones. As for Lin Wenyuan and Lin Tianfan, they had provided even more to Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan. First, there were the 2 low-grade level 3 Dharma treasures in Lin Tianfan's storage bag. A white jade exquisite pagoda and a 7 evil treasure spear. Although the former was heavily damaged in the battle with Jiang Qingxian, it was still a level 3 Dharma treasure. Moreover, it was a Dharma treasure that could attack and defend at the same time. Its value was still above 20,000 spirit stones. As for the level 3 7 evil treasure spear, it should be able to be sold for about 30,000 spirit stones. In total, it added up to about 50,000 spirit stones. In addition, in Lin Tianfan's storage bag, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan found a fist-sized grand white metal stone. This was a level 3 treasure and was the main material for refining metal attribute level 3 Dharma treasures. Such a fist-sized piece was worth about 50,000 spirit stones, and it was usually very difficult to come by. They really did not know where Lin Tianfan, who had just advanced to the Violet Palace realm, got so many good things. At this moment, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan instantly realized that the reason why Lin Tianfan had so many good things on him was probably because the Hong family had provided him with them. After all, the Hong family wanted the Lin family to take root in Flat Land County and use them to keep the Shen immortal family in check. If the Hong family did not give them anything, it would seem a little unreasonable. However, the Hong family might not have expected that the Violet Palace realm cultivator they supported and the things that they supported him with were all taken away by Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan in the end. In addition to the 2 low-grade level 3 Dharma treasures and a level 3 great white metal stone, there were also many level 2 Dharma artifacts, materials, spiritual herbs, pills, and so on in Lin Tianfan's storage bag. One of the high-grade level 2 flying swords called the Clear Lake Sword happened to make up for Jiang Qingshuan's losses. After using Crimson Light, his Void Dragon sword was completely scrapped. The total value of these things was about 30,000 to 40,000 spirit stones. Finally, there was the storage bag of the Lin family's head, Lin Wenyuan. It had to be said that as the head of the Lin family, Lin Wenyuan had a lot of things in his storage bag as well. First was the nearly 100,000 streams of 5 elements essence qi, as well as tens of thousands of streams of thunder, wind, ice, and other elemental essence qi. These were all basic resources that were indispensable for nurturing and upgrading Dharma treasures. Many foundation establishment families and sects would sell the 5-element essence qi and other element essence qi they had condensed to the Violet Palace immortal families or sects in exchange for cultivation resources or spirit stones. They were always in a great need of a large amount of 5-elemental and other elemental essence qi. Back then, in order to completely refine her Thunderbolt Lightning Fire sword to a level 3 Dharma treasure, she had taken nearly 50,000 streams of lightning and fire element essence qi from the Shen immortal family. In the future, if Jiang Qingxian wanted to refine the Dharma treasure embryo that belonged to him and even turn the Dharma treasure embryo into a true level 3 Dharma treasure, he would also need the 5 element essence qi and the other element essence qi. Therefore, the 5-elemental essence qi and other elemental essence qi in Lin Wenyuan's storage bag were very useful to the current Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan. Other than that, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan also obtained a large number of level 2 treasures, spiritual herbs, array discs, and so on from Lin Wenyuan. This might also be related to Lin Wenyuan being the head of the Lin family. There were clearly more things in his storage bag than the others. Finally, there was the mountain and river seal that he had used previously. This was a high-grade level 2 Dharma artifact with a suppression and defense function. It was worth at least 9,000 spirit stones. Considering that Shen Ruiyan did not have any decent defensive Dharma artifacts on her, Jiang Qingxian handed the mountain and river seal to her. By the time the couple finished counting the things in the storage bags, Shen Baifei, Su Qianhe, and the others had already arrived above the temporary base of the Lin family. Without any hesitation, Shen Baifei immediately took out several level 2 array-breaking talismans from his body. Coupled with Su Qianhe's understanding of array formations, it did not take long for them to break the protective array of the Lin family's temporary base. One had to know that the original Lin family was only a medium-sized foundation establishment realm family. There were only 6 to 7 foundation establishment cultivators inside the family. Now that they had lost 5 foundation establishment realm elders, including Lin Tianfan, the new Violet Palace realm ancestor, the Lin family was practically defenseless. When the protective array formation was broken, only a 4th-level foundation establishment realm cultivator rushed out with dozens of Qi refinement realm cultivators. At this moment, they clearly did not understand the situation. In almost no time, the 4th-level foundation establishment realm cultivator was surrounded and killed by Shen Baifei, Su Qianhe, and the others. The remaining Qi refinement realm cultivators naturally did not have the ability to fight back. It wasn't long before they were slaughtered. Then, Shen Baifei brought the others into the Lin family's temporary base to plunder the treasures. By the time Shen Baifei flew back to the splendid Jade Mountain, only half a month had passed. At this moment, Su Qianhe had already returned to the Crimson Gold Mine where Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were. He roughly told the two of them about the process of exterminating the Lin family. Finally, he smiled and said to the two of them, "Next, if you have nothing else to do here, you can return to the splendid Jade Mountain first. In addition, Brother Baifei, I, and the others have already reached a consensus. The reason why we were able to destroy the Lin family so quickly is all thanks to you. Therefore, when you return, you can be the first to choose what you want among the spoils." Chapter 95. 95. Returning to splendid Jade Mountain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 95. Returning to splendid Jade Mountain. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan nodded. Next, we indeed need to go back and sort out the gains from this trip. According to Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan's original plan, they would go to the area under the jurisdiction of the North Cloud sect together after ending the matter here. It was naturally for the sake of finding the lightning pool. However, who would have thought that the matter with the Lin family would actually develop to such an extent? Now that they had obtained a large number of resources from those Lin family members, they naturally needed some time to digest them. After all, with every increase in their strength, they would be much safer when they went to the North Cloud sect. After all, it would be the first time they were leaving the area under the jurisdiction of the Ganyang sect. No one knew what they would encounter or what would happen. The only thing they could really rely on was their own strength. By the time Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan bade farewell to Su Qianhe and returned to the Shen immortal family's base, splendid Jade Mountain, many days had passed. At this moment, the news of the Lin immortal family being destroyed had already reached the Hong family. In a grand hall, a few Violet Palace realm elders of the Hong family listened to the reports of their subordinates with a dark expression. Especially Hong Qingfei. That day, he went to the Shen family and returned empty-handed. He had been holding back his anger. Therefore, after that, he suggested letting the newly advanced Lin Tianfan bring his family to Flat Land County to take root. For this, the Hong family had given Lin Tianfan a lot of support, both openly and secretly. And what happened? How much time had passed? Lin Tianfan and his Lin family were actually destroyed. What a piece of trash. Hong Qingfei couldn't help but curse. He looked at the middle-aged man in the lead and said, "Family head, I didn't expect that old fart Shen Yuanlong to really dare to attack. I think he went all out because he knows that he's at the end of his life. Do you think we should get someone to test the Shen immortal family again? Otherwise, it would be a huge humiliation to us if we let this matter rest just like that." An elder of the Hong family called Hong Chenglong could not help but interrupt, "Brother Qingfei, since we already know that that old fart is about to die, why do we have to take the risk to test him again? Aren't you afraid that something like the Lin family will happen again? After all, who can guarantee that that old fellow won't really go crazy and perish with us if we push him too hard?" These words immediately made Hong Chenglong's expression freeze. Now that his clan brother, Hong Chenglong, pointed this out, he immediately felt embarrassed and couldn't help but snort. Humph. Even if Shen Yuanlong wants to perish with us, he has to have the ability to do so. However, just as he was about to say something, Hong Daoyuan, the current head of the Hong family, waved his hand at Hong Qingfei. "Enough, this matter ends here for the time being. Get someone to watch the Shen immortal family's every move. If anything happens, report it back immediately. In addition, tell the people of the various sects that our Hong family doesn't want anyone to do business with the Shen immortal family." At the same time, in the splendid Jade Mountain, when Shen Baifei and the others saw Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan return, they were pleasantly surprised. They all went forward to ask the two of them if they were injured when they fought with Lin Tianfan. After everyone was sure that Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were fine, they smiled and said to the two of them, Qingxian, Ruyan, it's all thanks to you this time. As he spoke, Shen Baifei took out a list and handed it to the two of them. These are all our gains from the Lin family this time. You can take a look and see if there's anything you need. If there is, you can take it. Hearing this, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan didn't stand on ceremony. They reached out to take the list and looked at it. They realized that the Shen family had gained a lot this time. Other than the various materials, spiritual herbs, pills, cultivation techniques, and so on, just the spirit stones alone numbered more than 100,000. But thinking about it, this was very normal. One had to know that this was all the resources of the entire Lin family. However, there were not many things that were really useful to Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan. The two of them flipped through it carefully. Apart from a few materials needed to refine weapons, the yellow extreme spiritual jade and the heavenly spiritual dew were what Jiang Qingxian really needed. However, there were only 2 to 3 of them. After Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan chose what they needed, they did not stay outside any longer. Soon, they returned to their cave abode on the splendid Jade Mountain. After returning to the cave abode, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan decided to enter seclusion for a period of time. Shen Ruyan needed to use the gains she had obtained this time to continue nourishing her Dharma treasure. At the same time, she was prepared to try to refine the level 3 Dharma treasure spear, the 7 evil treasure spear. Initially, Shen Ruyan thought that it would be best if she could refine the white jade exquisite pagoda. Unfortunately, the white jade exquisite pagoda was severely damaged. With the resources they currently had, it was impossible to repair it. As for Jiang Qingxian, he also had a lot to do. First, he had to refine the high grade level 2 flying sword he had obtained from Lin Tianfan, the Clear Lake sword. Next, he had to use his gains this time to practice refining weapons and strive to level up his weapon. Refinement mastery in the shortest time possible. Next was the drawing of the mid-grade golden armor puppet talisman, although the mid-grade golden armor puppet talisman was no longer as helpful to him as before, however, he wanted to continue making it in the hope that he might trigger the hidden mission. Perhaps, the system reward next time would be an upgrade of the golden armor puppet talisman. Finally, it was time to level up. After the battle with Lin Tianfan, the Violet Palace Realm Cultivator, Jiang Qingxuan's accumulation at the 7th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm had already reached perfection. He was already confident that he could successfully break through and step into the domain of the 8th level of Foundation Establishment Realm. Chapter 96. 96. For years you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 96. For years translator. Henyi Translations editor. Henyi Translations just like that, for years passed in a flash. In the first year, Jiang Qingxian successfully broke through to the 8th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. The total true essence in his body increased by more than 30%. Then, he began to refine the Clear Lake sword. This time, he only spent 3 months successfully refining this high-grade level 2 flying sword. After that, he began his weapon. Refinement cultivation. At this moment, a system notification sounded. An achievement mission has been issued. Host, please reach level 2 weapon refinement within 2 years. It had to be known that during the years he was in seclusion back then, he only managed to reach high-grade level 1. As for ordinary high-grade level 1 weapon refiners, it was almost impossible for them to break through to level 2 without decades. If their talent was worse, it was very normal for them to be stuck at the high-grade level 1 for the entirety of their lifetime. Fortunately, Jiang Qingxian had the talent for refining weapons. In addition, he had relatively sufficient materials to refine weapons. Therefore, after spending about a year and a half, he successfully entered the domain of a level 2 weapon refiner. At the same time, the system's voice sounded again. Congratulations, host. You have reached level 2 weapon refinement. You have received +1 weapon refinement talent and a refinement method for a level 3 Dharma treasure, the Golden Void Sword. This was the first time he had obtained 2 rewards from the system at once. There was no need to talk about the +1 talent. The reason why he could break through to level 2 weapon refinement in such a short period of time was because of his weapon refinement talent that he received back then from the system. The latter was what he needed the most at the moment. Previously, he had been thinking about what kind of level 3 Dharma treasure embryo he should refine. At that time, he was clueless. Even though Shenrian had given him many suggestions, Jiang Qingxian vaguely felt that he was still lacking something. After all, this concerned his Dharma treasure, which would accompany him for the rest of his life. He could not tolerate any flaws. If you were not careful, the Dharma treasure you refined might be incompatible with you. That was quite a fatal thing. Therefore, until now, Jiang Qingxian was not completely sure what his future level 3 Dharma treasure embryo would be. But now, when he saw the refinement method of the Golden Void Sword rewarded by the system, he immediately knew what his first Dharma treasure in the future should be. Most importantly, after confirming in his heart that he was going to refine a level 3 Dharma treasure embryo, the system actually issued him another mission. Achievement mission issued. Host, please complete the first refinement of a level 3 Dharma treasure. Mind you, what the system said here was to complete the first refinement of a level 3 IC Dharma treasure, not the refinement of a level 3 Dharma treasure embryo. Therefore, if Jiang Qingxian wanted to complete this mission, he had to rely on his own ability to complete the refinement of a level 3 Dharma treasure. This prerequisite was that he had to raise his weapon refinement cultivation to level 3. He just did not know if the system's hidden mission would be triggered after he raised his weapon refinement cultivation to level 3. He was looking forward to it. After that, Jiang Qingxian began to draw the mid-grade golden armor puppet talisman. With his current mid-grade level 2 talisman making cultivation, it was really not difficult to draw 3 mid-grade level 2 golden armor puppet talismans. About half a year later, he successfully drew 3 mid-grade level 2 golden armor puppet talismans. It had to be noted that this mid-grade level 2 golden armor puppet talisman was much stronger than the low-grade level 2 golden armor puppet talisman. Not only did the golden armored puppet summoned have combat strength comparable to the 5th or 6th level of the Foundation Establishment realm, but the power of their self-destruction had also reached the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. The duration reached 40 minutes. From this, it could be deduced that if it was the high-grade level 2 golden armor puppet talisman, the self-destruction power might reach that of the Violet Palace realm. After Jiang Qingxian finished doing all these things, he did not come out of seclusion immediately. Instead, he calmed down and began to sort out everything he had learned over the years. This also allowed him to have a clearer understanding of his abilities, strength, and methods. By the time he finished it, 4 years had passed quietly. On this day, Jiang Qingxian walked out of his cultivation room. Coincidentally, just as he walked out of his cultivation room, Shenrian, who was in another cultivation room, also opened the door. The couple looked at each other and smiled. Soon, the two of them began to talk about their experiences in seclusion over the years. Through the exchange, Jiang Qingxian learned that Shenrian had used some materials she had obtained from the Lin family to strengthen her Thunderbolt Lightning Fire sword again. At the same time, she successfully refined Lin Tianfan's low-grade level 3 Dharma treasure, the 7 Evil Treasure Spear. Moreover, during this process, she actually tried to compress her true essence, causing the strength of her true essence to begin to approach the strength of Dharma powers. However, this was a rather dangerous thing to do. A single mistake could cause the compressed true essence to go berserk and blow up your dantian and meridians. At that time, even if you did not die, you would be completely crippled. Jiang Qingxian did not expect his Dao companion to be so bold. Most importantly, she had done it successfully. It could be imagined that after she successfully entered the Violet Palace realm in the future, the strength of her Dharma powers would definitely be much stronger than the Dharma powers of other Violet Palace realm cultivators. At least in terms of quantity and grade, it was definitely not something ordinary Violet Palace realm cultivators could compare to. This was also a reminder to Jiang Qingxian. When he broke through to the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm in the future, he could also try to compress his true essence. However, there was a prerequisite. He had to increase the strength of his physical body first. In this way, it was very necessary to find a body-tempering cultivation technique that was suitable for him. In the entire Shen immortal family, Jiang Qingxian did not find a body-tempering technique he wanted. Perhaps only in the Ganyang market, or the North Cloud sect, or the Starlight sect, could he find a body-tempering cultivation technique that was truly suitable for him. A day later, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan left their cave abode. The two of them had just arrived at the main peak of the splendid Jade Mountain when Shen Rushuang saw them. A hint of surprise appeared on her face. Qingxian, Ruyan, you're out of seclusion. Coincidentally, Ancestor has also come out of seclusion not long ago. He said that when you come out of seclusion, go to him first. Chapter 97. 97, Shen Yuanlong's Honest Words. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 97. Shen Yuanlong's Honest Words. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations, O. The Ancestor has come out of seclusion. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan were both surprised because they knew how badly injured Shen Yuanlong was back then. Because of that, they did not dare to disturb him when the Shen family was challenged by the Lin family. But now, the Ancestor had come out of seclusion. This made the two of them instinctively have a bad feeling. They did not delay and quickly arrived at Huawu Peak where Shen Yuanlong was. As soon as they arrived at Huawu Peak, they saw Shen Yuanlong sitting there. At this moment, Shen Yuanlong's hair had completely turned white, and the aura on his body had become unprecedentedly weak. It was evident that he was really not far from the end of his life. At this moment, when he saw Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan coming over, a smile appeared on his wrinkled face. Qingxian, Ruyan, you're here. As he spoke, he gestured for the two of them to take a seat before continuing. I've already heard about what happened before. You did very well. It's our Shen family's blessing to have the two of you. Jiang Qingxian said humbly, Ancestor, you flatter me. No, I'm not flattering you. Shen Yuanlong shook his head seriously. I know very well that the two of you will definitely go far in the future. Therefore, there are some things I need to tell you in advance. Shen Yuanlong said, in the future, if you really reach a certain height, you can consider breaking away from the Shen family and starting your own family. I'll tell your brother, Shen Daoming, about this later. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan's expressions changed at the same time. However, before they could speak, Shen Yuanlong waved his hand and continued, listen to me first. I'm not joking with you about this. I'm giving you a sincere suggestion. There will be a day when the Shen family is too small for you. It can accommodate you for a while, but it can't accommodate you forever. Only the sky is big enough for the true dragon to roam. If we really force you to be bound to the Shen family, it will be harmful to both you and the Shen family. These are my honest words. I hope you can understand. Hearing this, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan fell silent. They knew their own situation best. Some things were indeed as Shen Yuanlong had said. Shen Yuanlong continued, therefore, in the future, whether you establish your own family or sect, I only hope that within the limits of your ability, you can spare some strength to help the Shen family when we really need help. This is also the only request I have for you. He actually wanted to say these words on the day Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan became Dao companions. However, at that time, it was not appropriate for him to say it. This was more or less his last wish for the couple, and it was also his heartfelt words to them. Ancestor, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan had mixed feelings. To be honest, so far, Jiang Qingxian felt a good sense of belonging in the Shen family. He also liked the current atmosphere in the Shen family. However, he also knew that what bound people together was their bloodline. Since Jiang Qingxian was not born to a member of the Shen family, strictly speaking, he could not be considered a direct descendant of the Shen family. The truth was the truth. Just as Shen Yuanlong had said, he and Shen Ruiyan would eventually climb high. At that time, if he and Shen Ruiyan had their own descendants. Then, after countless generations, it was hard to say if the Shen family was still the Shen family or an ancillary family of the Jiang family. If Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were only the most ordinary foundation establishment cultivators, then there was no need to think about these things. Naturally, they would rely on the Shen family. However, the problem was that their future achievements were almost predictable. They would definitely surpass the current Shen family. That way, in order to avoid any future misunderstandings and conflicts, it was necessary to clarify their relationships and some things in advance. Fortunately, both Shen Yuanlong and Shen Mengxue were sensible people. When Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan became Dao companions, they already knew this. That was why Shen Yuanlong said this to the two of them. Moreover, these words were most suitable for Shen Yuanlong, the ancestor of the Shen family, to say. At this moment, Shen Yuanlong looked at the two of them and smiled again. Alright, let's talk about your plans next. If I'm not wrong, it's almost time for the two of you to prepare to advance to the Violet Palace realm, right? Yeah. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan did not deny it. They also told Shen Yuanlong about their plans to go out. When Shen Yuanlong heard it, he was slightly surprised, but he immediately nodded in understanding. That's right. It's indeed time for you to go out and travel. While I can still hold on, go out if you have to. However, you have to be very careful. It's best to do it quietly. Don't alarm too many people. At this point, Shen Yuanlong hesitated slightly, but in the end, he said to the two of them, but then again, if it's possible, I still hope that you can go and meet your ancestor Mengxue. This is something she instructed me a long time ago. Of course. If you really want to see her, you still have to do it secretly. This is a communication jade talisman that belongs to her. When the time comes, you can use it to contact her. In this way, you won't alarm anyone. As he spoke, Shen Yuanlong took out a milky white jade talisman from his body and handed it to Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan. Chapter 98. 98, Meeting Shen Mengxue again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 98. Meeting Shen Mengxue again. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Jiang Qingxian reached out to take the special communication jade talisman. He then nodded at Shen Yuanlong and said, "We understand, ancestor." He and Shen Ruiyan looked at each other and finally asked tentatively, "Ancestor, your current health," as if he knew what Jiang Qingxian was going to ask. Shen Yuanlong interrupted him and said with a smile, "Don't worry about me. In fact, the fact that I can last until now is already far beyond my initial estimation. I'm already very satisfied. I should be able to hold on for a few more years. I wonder if I can see you guys return and see Dao Ming come out of seclusion before I really leave." Shen Yuanlong had come to terms with his imminent death and was very frank about it. However, when Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan heard it, they felt very bad. No matter what, this old man had protected them for many years. Without him, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan could not guarantee that they would be able to reach this point. "Ancestor, you can definitely do it." Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan nodded at Shen Yuanlong solemnly. "BDNV, we'll be back as soon as we can." "It's good that you say so." Shen Yuanlong smiled and shook his head. "There's no need to force yourself. You still have to prioritize your own matters." At this moment, Shen Yuanlong had a calmness that could only be seen from people who were ready to embrace death. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan did not continue to talk about this. Instead, they stayed at Huawu Peak and accompanied Shen Yuanlong for 2 days. After that, they went outside Shen Daoming's cave abode. They waited there quietly for a few days. After confirming that Shen Daoming would not come out of seclusion for the time being, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan did not stay any longer. 3 days later, they quietly left the splendid Jade Mountain and headed for the Ganyang sect. Since Shen Yuanlong wanted them to meet Shen Mengxue, they would go and meet her first. They wanted to see if Ancestor Mengxue had anything special to tell them. It was about 1,000,000 miles from the splendid Jade Mountain to the Ganyang sect. Back then, it took them about a month and a half to travel from Ganyang City to Flat Land County. With their current cultivation and speed, even if they did not fly at full speed, only about half a month had passed when they arrived at the area around 5,000 kilometers away from the Ganyang sect. At this moment, on a deserted mountain peak, Jiang Qingxian crushed the special communication jade talisman in his hand. The two of them waited quietly. In less than 2 hours, a graceful white-haired figure appeared in front of Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan. It was Shen Mengxue. At this moment, her appearance had not changed from many years ago. However, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan could clearly feel a lingering death aura on her. This was the backlash from calculating the heavenly secrets. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruyan both revealed a solemn look. They looked at Shen Mengxue and said, "Ancestor, your condition." Shen Mengxue knew what the two of them were going to ask. She shook her head with a smile. "It's fine. This is my own choice. I've already prepared for the worse." At this point, she looked at the two of them and nodded in admiration. "Good, good, good. Looks like you're not far from entering the Violet Palace realm. I believe it's my brother who asked to come here." Before the two of them could answer, Shen Mengxue continued, "I know that my brother doesn't have much time left. I'm almost the same. I believe he has already told you about the arrangements for the future. Now that you're here, I have a few things to give you." With that, Shen Mengxue flipped her hand. In her palm, a few things appeared. There were 2 jade slips, a token, and a storage ring. The 2 jade slips contained 2 cultivation techniques. One of them was the body-tempering cultivation technique that Jiang Qingxian was currently lacking. It was called the Infinite Wheel. This was something she had obtained by chance when she was roaming in the cultivation world back then. The conditions to cultivate this technique were very harsh. In addition, this technique was not complete. It was only a fragment. Shen Mengxue once thought that such a top-notch body-tempering cultivation technique that no one could cultivate should be meaningless. However, when she saw Jiang Qingxian, especially the current Jiang Qingxian, she knew that she had found its owner. Jiang Qingxian did not expect Shen Mengxue to give him such a huge surprise just as he was desperately looking for a body-tempering technique that was suitable for him. Even though the infinite wheel in front of him was not complete. However, the moment he saw this body-tempering cultivation technique, he knew that it was what he urgently needed. Other than the infinite wheel, the remaining jade slip also contained a rather important inheritance. It was called the heavenly calculation technique. It was also an incomplete calculation technique. At the same time, it was also the foundation Shen Mengxue relied on. It was worth mentioning that apart from having the ability to calculate the heavenly secrets, this technique could also hide one's heavenly secrets from being seen by others. It could even isolate others from casting a curse on them. However, the conditions to cultivate this technique were also very harsh, and it would greatly deplete the cultivator's lifespan. Therefore, until now, Shen Mengxue was the only person in the entire cultivation world of the Yun nation who had truly grasped this technique. Now, she was giving this technique to the two of them. It was not that she wanted them to cultivate this technique. She just wanted them to have some understanding of it. Then, there was the token. This was not for them, but for them to bring it back and hand it to the Shen immortal family. As for its use, it was just a token that could allow one to enter the Ganyang sect and become a core disciple. On the other hand, the last storage ring contained nearly 80% of Shen Mengshue's accumulation over the past hundreds of years. According to Shen Mengshue, the things in this storage ring were for both them and the entire Shen immortal family. The only difference was that they could choose the items first. They could just hand the rest to the Shen immortal family. It was obvious that Shen Mengshue was taking special care of them. Shen Mengshue smiled and said, "All right, it's about time for me to go back. Take care." With that, Shen Mengshue did not give the two of them a chance to speak. Her figure instantly turned into air and dissipated. Chapter 99. 99, 5 places you are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 99. 5 places translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Seeing Shen Mengxic leave, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Rian fell into a deep thought. They all had a feeling that this was the last time they would see Ancestor Mengshue. They did not know if they would be able to see Shen Yuanlong again when they returned to the splendid Jade Mountain. Putting away these emotions for the time being, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Rian did not stay here any longer. Instead, they turned around and headed towards the territory of the North Cloud sect. From their current location to the territory controlled by the North Cloud sect, it was about 10 times the distance from the splendid Jade Mountain to the Ganyang sect. Even with their current cultivation, it would take them about 3 months to reach there at full speed. Their goal was very clear. They wanted to find the lightning pool that Shen Rian had left for herself in her previous life. However, a long time had passed. Even Shen Rian didn't know the exact situation of the place where she left the lightning pool. Everything would have to wait until they reached the territory of the North Cloud sect before they could properly understand and investigate. In the blink of an eye, more than 4 months had passed. On this day, they arrived at a level 2 market called the Kun Mountain Market. It was said that this was a market city under the jurisdiction of the North Cloud sect's affiliated sect, the Kun Mountain sect. It was considered a bustling market. Jiang Qingxian and Shen Rian, who had already disguised themselves, first rented a cave abode here to stay. Then, they began to inquire about the situation in the entire North Cloud sect. Over a period of more than 2 months, they finally found some clues. If I'm not wrong, the lightning pool I left behind should be one of these 5 locations. At this moment, Shen Rian pointed at a map in front of them and said. Jiang Qingxian looked at the 5 places she was pointing at. He discovered that the 5 places were the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range, the Autumn Wind Ridge, the Cloud Wave Lake, Moon City, and the Flying Rainbow Swamp. Among them, the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range and Autumn Wind Ridge were both peripheral areas where demon beasts lived. The danger level was not too high. The Cloud Wave Lake was the biggest lake under the jurisdiction of the North Cloud sect. It was extremely large. With Jiang Qingxian and Shen Rian's current cultivation levels, the danger of going there was also within their ability to handle. However, the problem was that it was too big. It would probably take a lot of effort and time to find the lightning pool. Next was Moon City. This city was the #1 city of a Violet Palace Realm sect, the Moon Watcher sect. If the lightning pool that Shen Rian had left behind was in Moon City, it would really be troublesome. Especially the core area of Moon City, it was not easy for outsiders to enter. As for the Flying Rainbow Swamp, it was a relatively dangerous area. This was the habitat of the demon beast, the 3-tailed demon crocodiles. There were a host of them. If they were not careful, they might alarm the level 3 3-tailed demon crocodiles. Even with Jiang Qingxian and Shen Rian's current strength, there was a possibility of them dying there. Husband, the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range and Autumn Wind Ridge are the 2 places with the least risk. Shen Rian pointed at the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range and Autumn Wind Ridge on the map and said to Jiang Qingxian, "Why don't we start from these 2 places first? If there's the lightning pool I left behind, it's best. If not, we'll consider searching elsewhere. What do you think? I have no objections. Jiang Qingxian nodded in agreement. However, at this moment, the restriction of the cave abode they were in was suddenly activated. This made both of them frown slightly. Especially when they saw the three strange people standing outside the cave abode, their eyes narrowed. They looked at each other. There was nothing to be afraid of. Soon, they lifted up the restriction of the cave abode and looked at the three people standing outside. We don't seem to know the three of you. I wonder what brought you here. The three of them were two men and a woman. The man in the lead was a burly man with a beard. He was at the 6th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. When he heard Jiang Qingxuan's words, he immediately smiled and cupped his fists. I'm Lei Peng, an independent cultivator of this area. The two people beside me are Guazixiao and Sun Yuqin. They are also Foundation Establishment realm independent cultivators like me. We took the liberty to come here this time because we understand that the two of you seem to be looking for an opportunity left behind by a senior. Hearing Lei Peng's words, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan narrowed their eyes. They had long known that if they were seen inquiring about something, it would definitely arouse suspicion. Even though they had tried to be careful. However, the only thing they did not expect was that the first to find them were not the people from the local Violet Palace realm immortal sects or families, but three independent cultivators. Of course, even if Lei Peng and the others claimed that they were independent cultivators, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan, who did not know them at all, still put a question mark to their real identity. At this moment, Lei Peng continued to smile and say, to be honest, we happen to have a relatively accurate location of the cave abode left behind by a senior. However, that senior had set up layers of restrictions on the cave abode when he was alive. Without enough manpower and strength, it's impossible to break the restrictions in the cave abode. I know that the two of you should be independent cultivators like us who came here from other places, so I was wondering if I could invite you to join hands with us. Don't worry, after this is done, we can distribute the gains according to how much we contribute. I wonder if the two of you are interested in this. It had to be said that Lei Peng's words were very tempting. They had been cautious enough in their investigation of Jiang Qingxian and his wife. In fact, it was not difficult to find out that the couple had come from somewhere else. If Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were really ordinary Foundation Establishment realm independent cultivators and had been searching for the cave abode left behind by a senior, they might really be tempted by Lei Peng's words. Unfortunately, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were not ordinary independent cultivators. What they were looking for was not the cave abode of a deceased senior. Of course, the most important thing was, they would not trust strangers easily. So, after hearing what Lei Peng said, they immediately shook their heads without hesitation. I'm sorry, we're not interested in what you're talking about. Chapter 100. 100, Shadow Tracking Gu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 100. Shadow Tracking Gu. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Hearing Jiang Qingxuan's answer, Lei Peng and the other two were stunned. Clearly, Jiang Qingxuan's reaction was different from what they had expected. Fellow Taoists, are you really not going to consider it carefully? We're really very sincere. If, Lei Peng obviously wanted to persuade them further, but Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were no longer interested in talking with them. Jiang Qingxian waved his hand and said calmly, there's no need. Please leave. With that, he closed the cave abode without waiting for the three of them to react. Seeing the cave abode close in front of them, Lei Peng and the other two had ugly expressions. Guazixiao and Sun Yuqin said angrily, they really don't know what's good for them. We invited them with good intentions. I didn't expect them to have such an attitude. Then, Guazixiao looked at Lei Peng and said, Brother Lei, these two people are unwilling to join us. What should we do next? Lei Peng thought for a moment and said, since they don't want to work with us, let's find someone else. Anyway, there are so many people in the Kun Mountain Market. I don't believe that we can't find someone who is willing to work with us." As they spoke, the three of them had already left the cave abode where Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were. At the same time, in the cave abode, Shen Ruiyan looked at Jiang Qingxian and said, "Husband, it seems like it's time for us to change our identities." Indeed. In the past 2 months, although they were already very careful, they would still attract some attention. Therefore, it was necessary to change the identity again. Jiang Qingxian clearly knew this too. He nodded readily. "Wife, you're right. In that case, let's change our identities before we go to the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range and Autumn Wind Ridge." A few days later, after Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan changed their appearances, they left the Kun Mountain Market together. Their destination this time was the Fallen Leaves Mountain Range that was relatively close to this place. There was a total of about 300,000 to 400,000 kilometers. With their current cultivation, it would only take them 3 to 4 days to fly at full speed. However, after they were about 5,000 kilometers away from the Kun Mountain Market, they suddenly stopped in midair and looked behind them. "Guys, you've been following us for so long. Shouldn't you show yourself?" As soon as he finished speaking, 4 people suddenly walked out from behind Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan. 3 men and 1 woman. The one in the lead was a bald burly man at the 8th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. He looked at Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan and said with a chuckle, "I really didn't expect to be discovered by you guys here. How unlucky." Seeing the bald man and the other 3, Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan were clearly surprised. Previously, they thought that the ones who had been secretly following them were Lei Peng and the other 2. They did not expect that it was not them, but the other 4 unfamiliar fellows. This made Jiang Qingxuan's eyes narrow. He looked at the 4 of them and said calmly, "If I remember correctly, I don't seem to know you. Why are you following us?" At this moment, a feminine man beside the bald burly man suddenly laughed. He looked at Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan and smiled. "Do you really think that we won't recognize you after you change your appearance?" As he spoke, a bug that looked like a cricket suddenly appeared in his hand. However, the bug was bigger than a cricket, and its compound eyes were green. "This is..." Jiang Qingxian frowned deeply and his eyes narrowed. The feminine man continued to smile and say, "Why? Have you recognized my treasure?" "That's right. My treasure is the shadow tracking goo. It can lock onto the location of the person being tracked through their aura. So, even if you change your appearance, you will still not be able to shake away my shadow tracking goo." "So?" Shen Ruiyan said coldly. The feminine man and the bald burly man looked at her in surprise. Then, the bald burly man chuckled and said, "To be honest, we're very interested in what you've been inquiring about previously, so we hope you can share it with us. Don't worry, as long as the things you inquired can satisfy us, we can consider not making things difficult for you." In other words, if what Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan inquired couldn't satisfy them, or if the 2 of them were unwilling to cooperate, they would have a hard time. The other party was clearly threatening them. It was unknown if it was because Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan looked especially easy to bully or if the burly man and his cohort were too confident in themselves, but they actually looked like they were confident in defeating the 2 of them. Since that was the case, there was nothing more to say. Jiang Qingxian took out his clear lake sword. With a clang, it slashed at the feminine man. Shen Ruiyan was not idle either. The curse-light sword flew out of her hand. After a few flashes in the air, it arrived in front of the bald burly man. Clearly, the bald burly man and the feminine man did not expect that Jiang Qingxian and Shen Ruiyan would dare to attack first when they were facing 4 Foundation Establishment cultivators at the same time. "You're courting death." In almost an instant, cold killing intent shot out of the eyes of the bald burly man and the feminine man. A battle axe and a fan appeared in their hands. The battle axe was dark gold in color. There were even circles of green airflow that looked like vortexes around it. The fan was even stranger. The moment it was taken out, it suddenly expanded to dozens of feet in size. With a light flap, a pitch-black wind whistled out. As for the remaining two, they were not idle either. One of them raised his hand and released a shuttle-shaped Dharma artifact. It was completely black, making it extremely difficult for people to capture its traces. The other person, the female cultivator, took out an aqua-blue flying sword with dense sword chi. Seeing this, Jiang Qingxian casually released the green-wood heavenly light shield and easily blocked the attack of the shuttle-shaped Dharma artifact. Shen Ruyan, on the other hand, pointed casually. Crack! Dazzling lightning immediately lit up in the void. When it hit the aqua-blue flying sword, the lightning caused the sword to dim.